Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tinker with Tools. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Hercules Brushless hammer drill, so let's go ahead and get into that on Tinker with Tools. Now the other day when I was reviewing the videos that I'd done in the past on this channel, a couple of things stood out to me. One, it had been over a year since I first got my hands on the Hercules Brushless tool. Two, I had never actually done a video where we compared the performance of that Hercules drill to other top drills in the market, and so it seemed like it was time to give you a little bit of an update about my experience with the Hercules tools over the past year, talk about this hammer drill which I recently picked up, and then also talk about some things I think you can do to really help boost the performance of these tools if you're just not feeling that they're delivering on some of the promise that you saw in early videos of them. So when I first got on the Hercules platform, I went to my local Harbor Freight. It was right at the beginning of when you started to see those Hercules brushless tools hitting the shelves. I picked up the first boxes I saw, and it wasn't until I got home I realized I had actually purchased the drill driver. Now they have the exact same performance specs, and I actually had that drill driver for well over a year before I ended up gifting that to a family member who was already on the Hercules platform and was using some of their older brush tools. Since then, I have gone ahead and picked up the brushless hammer drill, and so that is what we're going to be featuring tonight. Overall, Hercules made a big splash when they came in with their brushless tools, and the big piece of that was going to be that not only were they increasing the performance, but for the first time on pretty much any of the Harbor Freight power tools, they were actually offering a pretty competent warranty with their tools. They came out and offered a 5-year warranty on the majority, if not all, I believe, of their brushless tools, including this hammer drill and the drill driver and impact driver that I had. I think the best part of that warranty is it's not like you were sending your tools off to a far off place to get repaired. You just take your broken tool, if it happens, into a Harbor Freight and they will exchange it right over the counter. Obviously, the best tool is one that doesn't break at all, but if you're going to have to warranty a tool, being able to do it quickly and effortlessly is a pretty good option. So clearly with the release of these brushless tools, Harbor Freight was counting on these being a step up in my opinion and competing more with the top tier of tools that are out there and not necessarily just going against the lower level brush tools from top brands. And that's where we saw a bump in the performance as well. The previous tool was, I believe, 570 or 600 inch-pounds of torque, which is not a bad figure for an entry-level drill. But this one is all the way up at 1,200 inch-pounds, and instead of being squarely focused, in my opinion, on like a entry brushed Dewalt drill, this one is certainly taking aim at the likes of Milwaukee and their Gen 3, Gen 4 type hammer drills. So obviously, step up in performance, a much better warranty, but when it comes to just the overall operation of the tool, how nice is it to use? Well, that's where the Hercules definitely also took a step up in my opinion. Overall, Hercules has always been the best power tool option that Harbor Freight has offered, even if it was just those brush tools. But now they're actually delivering a legitimately decent and nice experience with these tools. But the one place that they are going to be lacking is in some of the safety tech that you're starting to see in more of the premium tools that are out there. In my opinion, when you're targeting a price point as low as what they are with this tool, that's going to be the one place where you're giving a little bit up. Now, early on, one of my chief complaints about Harbor Freight's new brushless tools was just that by the time you bought the tool, the battery, and the charger, you really weren't getting that big of a discount early on when it came to other premium tools that were out there. Yes, it was on the cheaper end, but there were other brands that you could oftentimes find on discount and get down at that same price point, and so that's where it just didn't make as much sense. Now, since that point in time, we've started to see a couple of different trends recently with Harbor Freight, where they've now started to include this both in promotions. Recently, you could get the hammer drill and the 8 amp hour battery all for $99. That is a steal of a deal. You could also then start getting combo kits. Now, they don't currently have a combo kit for the hammer drill alone, but at $97 you can get the drill driver with a 2.5 amp hour battery and a charger. That's an awesome little promotion that they're running as well. But then they do have at $249, they do have the hammer drill, the impact driver, and it's either 2 5 amp hour batteries or a 2.5, I'll list it down on the screen. And so $249, you're starting to get that. Additionally, every once in a while you can get a coupon from them where you can go ahead and get this for a better promotion. So as time has gone on and they've started to offer those promotions, that's where the value component of this is starting to win me over to the point where I do think it is one of the better values that's out there. And I think that while you can make a case for some other brands, getting the level of performance you are at the price point that you can often get these tools at it really just stands out in my opinion as the top value. So now we've talked about some of the compelling things about the tool. Let's go ahead and run through the different testing that we're going to do. Now first, we're going to run through the different batteries that I have and see how the performance of this tool differs on those batteries. Then after that, I intend to bring in a couple of drills, and this is by no means meant to be an apples to apples comparison, but I have a couple of different drills on different size batteries to kind of give you a feel for where this stacks up and how it compares to those other tools. All right, so with that performance testing, I'll have displayed any necessary times on the screen, kind of giving you my thoughts after seeing that footage edited. First off, I'm going to talk about how it differs on performance on the batteries, and clearly on that 2.5 amp hour battery, if that's what you're getting in the kit, you're really missing the extreme performance, if you will, of this tool. Additionally, I've always found that while the 4 amp hour extreme performance is a step up in this tool, I've always found that the 5 amp hour actually performs just a little bit better. The best performance experience that I have is going to be on that 8 amp hour battery, and it really kind of transforms the tool into just another little power level, I think, where you're getting some additional performance that you don't see with those other batteries. It just feels a little bit more effortless. Now, when it comes down to how it compares to these other tools, when Hercules first came out, I think one of the biggest disservice that sometimes we saw was just watching content from different people showing it just beating these tools up and down, specifically the impact driver, but even sometimes this hammer drill. I don't think that the performance is quite to that level where you can just go out and take it up against every tool, at least not in my experience. But the performance level you're getting is not substandard or so far behind what you're getting with those other tools that you can't get the same level of work done. You're just not going to be doing it as effortlessly or as quickly as what you're getting with those other tools. As I use the different drills, both first going with that rigid, moving over to the rigid, it just felt like a smoother experience. And that's not something that I'd ever really noticed about that drill, but it became apparent tonight. As we went to the Dewalts, you'll notice I included both the latest and greatest Dewalt drill, which is not necessarily a fair comparison, but then I also included that DCD 800 because I found that oftentimes you can get that drill on a pretty good sale. Maybe not quite as cheap as here, but you'll notice that even though that one is potentially rated a lot less, I found that it really kind of has the performance to keep up with some of these bigger tools, especially on smaller tasks. Now, as we compare it then to the Milwaukee, I'll have shown you some drilling both with the 6 amp hour Forge and the 12 amp hour Forge batteries, and I get that those are either pouch cell batteries or going with tabless cell batteries in that 12 amp hour. Once again, this is not meant to be the apples to apples comparison because you're not going to get either of those styles of batteries with this tool. That's another place where Harbor Freight, as well as they've done, is kind of modernizing and really keeping up with some of the newest technology. They're just not quite on that level yet. And that is going to be one thing that distinguishes when you go from a top tier professional brand to going with the more budget one from Harbor Freight. But they do have the 21700 cell battery, and you can certainly tell a performance boost when you're on especially this 8 amp hour battery. But that's kind of the conclusion that I want to make with this video, is if you are expecting to spend half price sometimes, or 2/3 the price of what you're spending with those other brands, and getting everything that you're getting with them, I think you're kind of missing the point of this brand and Harbor Freight in general. One of the things that, love them or hate them, Harbor Freight has not always had the best history with being reliable or tools that you can count on. Now you're starting to get tools, whether it's some of their hand tools or some of their other different options, or even now their power tools, you're starting to get some tools that really can kind of stack up and deliver a decent amount of performance at a really good price point. And especially if you can be patient and wait for some promotions, you can really get a lot of tools for your money, and you're no longer getting something that I feel like is disposable, and it's even backed by a warranty. So go ahead and let me know what you think down below. Make sure to leave in a comment if you've used the tool and how you feel it stacks up, or where you kind of see Hercules slotting in this tool lineup that we have that's becoming ever increasingly congested with good tools. And if you like this sort of video, hit that like button. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. As always, thank you for all the support, and until next time, I'll catch you on Tinker with Tools.